Original text, Chapter 1. On our 7th wedding anniversary, a piece of news hit the trending topics. The latest star discovered by the National Astronomy Center was officially named Molly this morning. The person who posted the trending topic was Chloe Sterling's husband, Ethan Wright. I crown the star with your name. Even in the vast universe, you will never be alone. Ethan's junior from university, Molly Flowers, commented underneath. Thank you, senior, for making our private romance public. I'm so happy. Chloe didn't call him frantically to question him or demand an explanation like she used to. After being entangled with Ethan for 12 years, Chloe decided to let go. Mia, I've decided to take the position at the Paris branch. As soon as Chloe finished speaking, her childhood friend and business partner, Mia Stone, picked up quickly on the other end of the line. With a tone of disbelief, she asked, "Are you really decided on Paris? Can you bear to leave your precious Ethan? If you come running back after 2 days, I'll kill you myself." The corners of Chloe's lips curled up slightly. I'm not joking. Thinking of everything she had seen tonight, her tone was filled with finality. Absolutely not. If I come back halfway, I'll offer up my own head. 3 years ago, the company needed someone to expand business abroad. After discussing it with Ethan and seeing that he had no objections, Chloe applied for the assignment. But on the 3rd day she was away, Ethan was hospitalized with stomach pain. Chloe flew back overnight to take care of him. Since then, Chloe had stayed at the company headquarters. Chloe and Ethan had dated for 5 years and been married for 7. Since high school, Chloe knew he was the type of person who could forget to eat and sleep for his passion. If she went to an overseas branch, they wouldn't see each other many times a year. Chloe didn't feel comfortable leaving him alone here. After they got married, many friends asked Chloe how she could be with a man who had no worldly ambitions. They all said Ethan was only suitable as a boyfriend, not a husband. Chloe would answer with a smile, "Because he saved me, both mentally and physically." Due to her family background, Chloe suffered from depression. At the final moment when she let herself sink to the bottom of the ocean, it was Ethan who jumped in to save her. After that, he accompanied Chloe to see the psychiatrist time and time again. Rain or shine. After Chloe's condition improved, she asked him, "Weren't you afraid back then? You're so young." He waved his hand and said casually, "I couldn't bear to see someone with such a beautiful smile leave this world. And the future is so long. I want to see the world smiling with you." His words sounded like music from heaven to Chloe at that time. Chloe once thought that since Ethan was such a wonderful person, they would surely walk through the rest of their lives together. It's a pity that fantasies are always beautiful, but reality is cruel. Today was supposed to be their 7th wedding anniversary. Chloe booked the restaurant where Ethan had proposed to her. She prepared fireworks, planning to give him a surprise. She even got off work early on purpose to wait for him at the entrance of his research institute. She didn't catch him, but she caught a trending news story. The newly discovered planet No. 960,306 in our country's astronomy field was officially announced this morning to be named Planet Molly. This is the first star discovered by astronomer Ethan Wright, holding significant commemorative value. Under this trending topic, the top post was from Ethan himself. I crown the star with your name. Even in the vast universe, you will never be alone. The attached picture was a photo of him and Molly cheek to cheek in a Western restaurant. Molly was holding the star certificate for that planet. Opening the comments section, the most liked comment was from Molly, "Thank you, senior, for making our private romance public. I'm so happy." When seeing this news, Chloe couldn't describe how she felt at that moment. It was as if she had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Everything before her was pitch black. She couldn't see her fingers, let alone any light in the distance. No matter how she struggled, it was to no avail. She could only let herself drown in the darkness. At that moment, Chloe thought, Ethan, who saved her back then, probably never imagined that he would become the reason for her depression relapsing in the future. So, life is not multiple choice, and Chloe was never his fixed answer. Just as tears were about to burst forth, Chloe turned off the screen, blinking back the surging acidity. Tossing the phone onto the passenger seat, Chloe drove to the pre-booked restaurant. Alone under the dazzling fireworks, she ate 2 servings of steak, using this to mourn her nearly 7-year marriage with Ethan. "Chloe, I'll help you book the apartment in Paris. How about leaving next Monday?" Today is Monday. You still have a week to prepare. Seeing Chloe remain silent for a long time, Mia Stone felt unsure and asked tentatively. Chloe laughed despite herself. How could she not know Mia's thoughts? After all, Mia had witnessed everything between her and Ethan from the beginning until now. Mia must have sensed her abnormal attitude towards Ethan to be acting this way. 7 days left. Time enough for Chloe to hand over her domestic work, and enough to properly say goodbye to Ethan and to her own 12 years of youth. Okay, Chloe answered softly, looking at the moonlight outside the window. This time, Mia was absolutely certain that there was a problem with Chloe and Ethan's relationship. Although she didn't know exactly what happened, for the love struck Chloe to be like this, the matter must not be simple. After considering for a long time, Mia feigned profoundness and said, "The world is big, there are all kinds of delicious food and interesting people. If you are willing to move forward, the future is worth looking forward to. Tomorrow is July 1st, a new beginning. The Paris office starts operations in a week. Sister, without a man, you still have money." The evening breeze ruffled the curtains on the balcony, making a rustling sound. Chloe took out a cigarette from her bag and walked to the balcony. Looking at the bright moon, she cupped the flame and lit a cigarette. The lighter made a click sound, exceptionally crisp in the quiet night. Smoke rings drifted from her mouth into the air, and scenes from the day assaulted her mind again. Chloe's heart ached uncontrollably, but at this moment, she finally made up her mind. "Mia, you're right. Without a man, I still have money." After hanging up the phone, Chloe confided to the moon, "Ethan, I plan to let you and her be together." When Ethan returned, he immediately saw Chloe standing on the balcony in a daze. He changed into slippers and walked towards Chloe. Seeing her smoking, he was stunned for a moment but didn't say much. Chloe had heard the noise long ago, but she continued doing her own thing. Since dating Ethan, she hadn't smoked for a long time. Because Ethan didn't like the smell of smoke. Smelling it made him frown and hurt his throat. So after being with him, Chloe forced herself to quit, even experiencing withdrawal symptoms at one point. This time, she didn't want to compromise herself for anyone anymore. Ethan casually handed Chloe a gift box and said perfunctorily, "7th anniversary gift. Sorry, I had to work overtime tonight temporarily, forgot to tell you." "Yeah, it's fine." Chloe took the last puff, reached out to take the box, and opened it. It was a star necklace. She hooked the corner of her lips and closed the box casually. "I like the gift, thank you." Ethan was stunned. The explanation he wanted to give was stuck in his throat, and he looked at the calm Chloe with some surprise. He thought Chloe would relentlessly question him and demand an explanation. Chloe also thought that after seeing that trending topic, she would hysterically question him, have a huge fight, and end up parting on bad terms. Just as Chloe was about to light a second cigarette, Ethan snatched the lighter from her hand. He frowned slightly, displeased. "Didn't I ask you to quit smoking?" Actually, seeing Chloe smoke didn't make him that angry. He just couldn't stand seeing her so calm. He felt terribly irritable inside. The craving just hit suddenly. Chloe indifferently put the cigarette back into the box, preparing to go back to the room to rest. Ethan grabbed her wrist, his eyes complex. "Today is our wedding anniversary." Chloe was perplexed. "And?" Ethan frowned even tighter, his grip unconsciously tightening. "It's fine if you didn't prepare a gift, but are you really going to sleep this early tonight?" As he spoke, he pulled Chloe into his arms, his large hand pinching her slender waist, his thin lips brushing past the tip of her nose, moving towards her red lips. Just as their lips were about to touch, Chloe turned her head to dodge. Ethan's kiss landed on her cool cheek. "Babe." Ethan's palm was slightly hot, rubbing the tender flesh of Chloe's waist. His voice was husky, and his eyes were stained with desire. In his eyes, Chloe was just throwing a tantrum because of what happened during the day. Ethan thought that as long as he took the initiative, Chloe would be happy immediately. Thinking this, his large hand explored under Chloe's clothes, and his thin lips pressed closer again, seducing her bit by bit. Chloe frowned, pushed Ethan away forcefully, her eyes deep as a dark pool. Ethan stumbled back, his lower back hitting the railing. Pain struck him, and he looked at her in disbelief. "Chloe, why?" Undeniably, Ethan was a master at flirting. In the past, every time they were intimate, Chloe would easily fall into the gentle web he wove. Only at this moment, Chloe's attention was stuck on the lingering scent of perfume on him. Yes, it was jasmine perfume. the perfume Molly often wore. Chloe took a step back and said lightly, "You worked hard overtime today, rest early." Then, ignoring Ethan's surprised expression, she put down her phone and went to wash up. When Chloe lay on the big bed planning to sleep, Ethan walked in holding her phone. Chloe frowned slightly. She thought that after rejecting Ethan tonight, he would angrily sleep in the guest bedroom. Chloe hugged the quilt and hid towards the side of the bed. This action hurt Ethan. "Chloe Sterling, what do you mean by constantly dodging me? And why did you change your phone wallpaper from our photo to a countdown calendar?" He shoved the lit screen in front of Chloe's eyes to question her. Chloe glanced at it and said calmly, "Nothing, just changed it for fun." Ethan stood by the bed looking at her for a long time. Chloe snatched the phone back, stuffed it under the pillow, and closed her eyes to fake sleep. After a long time, Ethan picked up his pillow and slammed the door as he left the master bedroom. Chloe opened her eyes, lit up the screen, and looked at the small line of text to the left of the countdown. 7 days until leaving the country. If he really had a heart, he should have noticed just now that Chloe was leaving. Unfortunately, Ethan's mind was never on Chloe. Chloe put down her phone and stared at the ceiling until dawn. The next day, before the sky was fully bright, Chloe got out of bed. She gathered all the items in the master bedroom related to their memories, planning to throw them away when she went out. She went to the cloakroom again and took out the wedding dress from the dust bag. The trailing wedding dress took up a lot of space. Chloe had to take out scissors and cut the wedding dress into pieces, packing them into several bags. Then she carried 2 thick wedding albums to the yard. Chloe wanted to burn the albums while there were few people in the early morning. The firelight illuminated Chloe's face. She watched expressionlessly as the 2 people smiling at each other in the album turned to ashes. "Chloe, what are you doing?" Ethan thought a fire had started and came out to check, only to find that Chloe was burning their wedding photos. Chloe glanced at him and said calmly, "Nothing." Ethan was driven mad by her indifferent attitude and tentatively tried to rescue the still intact photos from the fire. But the fire was too strong, and the intense heat forced Ethan to withdraw his hand. He questioned with red eyes, "Why?" Chloe glanced at him silently and turned to walk back. By the time she finished all this, the sky was completely bright. Chloe also planned to shower and go to the company. Ethan followed her into the master bedroom. Upon seeing the empty bedroom and the wedding dress fragments in the cloakroom, his pupils constricted violently. When Chloe came out of the bathroom, she saw him squatting on the ground piecing together the wedding dress fragments. She ignored him and sat at the dressing table for her skincare routine. "It's okay, the wedding dress style from 7 years ago is indeed outdated. When we have time, we'll go reshoot with the latest styles." It was unclear if he was comforting Chloe or finding a reason for himself to accept the fact that Chloe destroyed their memories. But no matter what, Chloe didn't care anymore. Ethan folded the wedding dress fragments and put them aside, then turned and left the master bedroom. When Chloe walked out, he was unexpectedly cooking breakfast in the kitchen. Chloe was dazed for a moment. Chloe only knew that he could cook from Molly's social media. Little girls love to document their lives, posting everything Ethan did for her on social media. For example, when they worked overtime, he would make her favorite spicy river snail noodles. When it rained, he would personally pick her up and drop her off. During holidays and birthdays, he would carefully prepare a gift she liked. Just like this trending topic event, it was just because Molly acted coquettishly saying she also wanted a star. He generously gave it to her. That night, Chloe masochistically read Molly's social media repeatedly, reading the story of their acquaintance until now over and over again, repeatedly looking at Ethan's special treatment of her. "Chloe, come eat breakfast. I cooked your favorite oatmeal." Ethan had already sorted out his emotions, acting as if nothing had happened, pulling her to sit at the dining table. Chloe picked up the spoon, took a sip, and put it down. Seeing she wasn't eating, Ethan looked at her in confusion. Chloe said softly, "I only eat sweet oatmeal." She once heard someone say, "Sweet things stimulate the secretion of dopamine." So Chloe had a sweet tooth. Ethan froze for a few seconds and quickly spoke to remedy the situation. "There are fried eggs in the kitchen. I'll bring them out right away." Chloe shook her head. "No need, I'm in a hurry." Molly had posted a status yesterday. "Ye Senior promised to bring me breakfast tomorrow. I want to eat fried eggs and oatmeal with meat." Ethan grabbed Chloe, who was preparing to leave, frowning tightly. Are you angry? Just because I didn't accompany you yesterday? I had temporary work yesterday. I already apologized to you. The research is nearing its end. As the team leader, I can't just care about romance. For so many years, haven't you supported my work? So what exactly are you making a fuss about this early in the morning? Yes, this was how they got along for so many years. Chloe loved him, so she endured him infinitely. Even if he was busy and forgot Chloe's birthday, forgot their anniversary, or even didn't come home for days, Chloe wouldn't complain. Chloe knew this was his dream. Until one time, after he finished a study, he came to the company to wait for Chloe to get off work. Chloe heard his phone ringing nonstop. He, who always said replying to messages was troublesome, was actually typing nonstop without lifting his head, a happy smile on his face. That day was the first time Chloe heard Molly's name from his mouth, a troublesome and ditzy junior. It was also the first time Chloe knew. It turned out he didn't dislike replying to messages, didn't dislike typing. It was just that Chloe wasn't the person he was willing to waste time on. Chloe pulled her hand from his. Her gaze towards him was waveless. All these years, I'm tired. Let's div. Before she finished speaking, his phone rang. It was Molly's exclusive ringtone. He answered without even looking at the screen. Hello, what's wrong? Ethan probably didn't know that after answering the phone, his expression unconsciously softened. Molly's whining voice came from the other end. Senior, I'm starving to death. When are you coming back? If I starve, I'm blaming you. Ethan laughed indulgently. Didn't you eat a lot of crayfish yesterday? Hungry this early? All right, I'm coming back now. Chloe smirked coldly. The person on the other end seemed to sense something. By the way, Senior, bring Senior sister out for dinner when you have time. Yesterday was your wedding anniversary. I stole her star and pestered Senior to treat me to a late-night snack, so go treat her to a big meal to thank her properly. Hearing this, a trace of guilt flashed in Ethan's eyes. Holding the phone, he unconsciously took a few steps back. Chloe gave a cold laugh, said nothing, and turned to walk away in her high heels. Ethan quickly brushed off Molly with a few words, chased after Chloe in 3 steps, saying he would drive her to the company. Molly also participated in the research of that star. I couldn't decide alone. It just so happened she was preparing for her birthday and said she wanted a star, so I went with the flow and gave it to her. A lot of people went for the late-night snack, not just us. Please don't overthink it, okay? Chloe looked at him calmly. He had been researching this planet intermittently for 3 years. Molly had only been there for 3 months. Doesn't he find this excuse ridiculous? Ethan probably didn't realize, every time he lied or was nervous, he would unconsciously tug at his clothes. When they arrived at the entrance of the residential complex, Ethan was still called away by Molly, because of work or some other reason. Chloe didn't care anymore. Anyway, she didn't know how many times this had happened. This summer, there was an unusual amount of rain. Caught in the rain while getting off work in the evening, Chloe suddenly developed a high fever at night. She groggily watched Ethan getting up to change clothes. Ethan noticed her gaze and explained, "The faucet at Molly's house is broken. She doesn't know how to fix it. I'm going to take a look." Chloe stared at him blankly, and just before he left the room, she called out to him. She wanted to ask him to get her a cold pill, but the words changed on her lips. "Ethan, I have a fever. Can you take me to the hospital first?" Ethan stood at the door, looking conflicted. Looking down at his vibrating phone, he finally walked to the living room and brought the medicine kit to Chloe. "I see your condition is okay. Just take a fever reducer for now. It's quite urgent over at Molly's. I'll take you to the hospital when I get back." As soon as he finished speaking, he left in a hurry. He didn't notice Chloe in the 18-degree air-conditioned room, covered with a quilt yet still sweating cold sweat. Unlike during university summers, when Chloe would run into the air-conditioned library after class, he would drag Chloe from behind with a blank face, taking tissues from his bag to wipe Chloe's sweat while scolding her. "Do you think your health is very good? Rushing into an air-conditioned room all sweaty when it's so hot outside. When you get a fever later, I'll be the one taking care of you." Chloe blinked her slightly sore eyes and smiled bitterly. Didn't she already know who was more important in his heart? Why bother asking for humiliation? Her actions just now made her look even more like a clown. Near dawn, Chloe felt terribly unwell and called an ambulance. After getting an injection at the hospital, she finally felt alive again. The doctor learned that Chloe hadn't had a physical examination for a long time and suggested she do a comprehensive checkup. Chloe ultimately only drew a vial of blood and did a basic check. It was almost time for work. She couldn't wait for the report, so she added the doctor on WeChat to communicate when the report came out. When she arrived at the company, the dizziness was still obvious. Mia noticed her abnormality immediately. "You have a fever. I'll take you to the hospital." Mia threw the documents for the new company on Chloe's desk and dragged her to go out. Chloe pulled her back, patting her hand, her voice slightly hoarse. "I just came back from the hospital. It's nothing serious." Mia confirmed repeatedly that she was really okay before pointing at the stack of documents. "Hurry up and study the materials. If you make a mistake then, I'll kick you out of the company." Chloe attacked the materials with the vigor of reviewing for college entrance exams until evening. Before leaving the company, she opened her email and found that the lawyer had sent the drafted divorce agreement. Chloe took the divorce agreement and drove to Ethan's research institute in the heavy rain. When she parked the car in the underground garage, her phone received a notification from social media. It was a video posted by Molly. In the video, Ethan went with Molly to an anime convention that had just ended not long ago. Molly won a game and excitedly kissed Ethan in the crowd. Caption: "When we first met, I thought that even if it couldn't be out in the open, I wanted to have you. Now it has finally come true." Chloe turned off the screen and smirked self-deprecatingly. She and Ethan had been together for 12 years, occupying each other's entire youth. But despite this, Chloe still felt the man in the video was so strange, as if she had never known him. Suddenly, a low roar came from not far away. "Senior, please, don't leave me. I like you. Is that wrong? I liked you back in school." Following the sound, a woman blocked a man by the car, questioning him with red eyes. In despair, the girl stood on tiptoes and kissed Ethan's lips. Chloe saw his hands, which were originally hanging by his sides, encircle the girl's waist the moment she kissed him. They just shared a long kiss in the rainy night. Crack! A sudden flash of lightning and thunder illuminated the parking lot. When Ethan saw clearly that it was Chloe, he seemed to lose his soul. "Chloe, why are you here?" Chloe walked towards them step by step. "Senior sister, it's not like that. It has nothing to do with Senior, I like him, it's all." Before she could finish, Chloe used all her strength to slap Molly across the face. Then she smashed the wedding ring at Ethan. Ethan suddenly snapped back to reality and pushed Molly away, unconsciously raising his voice. "Chloe, listen to my explanation. It's not what you—" Chloe interrupted him and handed over the divorce agreement. "Ethan, we're done." Ethan chased after Chloe regardless of everything. "Chloe, listen to my explanation. My relationship with her isn't what you saw." Chloe turned a deaf ear and walked quickly towards the car. Ethan stopped Chloe just before she closed the car door, his eyes full of pleading. "Chloe, I just treat her like a child. We were just playing around." Chloe sneered. "She's only 3 years younger than us." "Is she a giant infant?" Ethan's eyes dodged, feeling very uneasy inside. A strong premonition told him that if he let Chloe leave here today, they would really be over. "Chloe, we've been together for so many years, you can't leave me. Leaving you, I won't be able to live. Molly is just a passerby." The more he spoke, the more guilty he felt. Molly's desperate screams suddenly came from behind. "Senior, I've loved you for 10 years. If you don't want me, I don't want to live." Molly held a piece of broken glass against her neck. "Ethan, look at me. If you don't turn back, I'll slice it." He subconsciously let go and turned back. Chloe sneered and closed the door to drive away without hesitation. In the rearview mirror, Ethan held Molly in his arms but was looking in the direction she left. Opening the car window after a while, her face was completely wet. She couldn't tell if it was tears or rain. Back home, Chloe began to pack her things. She wanted to say a proper goodbye to Ethan. But at this moment, she suddenly felt that the 12 years of youth spent on Ethan were a mistake. The self that wasted 12 years was a joke. She just wanted to flee this place quickly. Chloe took out the suitcase from the cloakroom that hadn't been used for a long time. This suitcase was bought by Ethan as a gift for her when they got married. When Chloe received this gift, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Ethan, you are hopelessly dense. Who gives a suitcase as a wedding gift?" Ethan smugly leaned close to her ear, pretending to be casual. Then do you like it? I like it. Chloe's eyes curved, and when she turned to look at him, her rosy lips brushed his cheek, a faint fragrance entering his breath. Ethan froze, his breathing becoming shallow. Looking at the stars in Chloe's eyes, his heartbeat lost its rhythm, and he couldn't help but kiss her enticing red lips. Chloe's pale, white arms hooked around his neck, standing on tiptoes to respond to his kiss. When the kiss ended, the two embraced, panting. Ethan's large hand held the back of the girl's head, having an impulse to rub her into his bones and blood, his voice husky. There's something you'll like even more. Chloe looked up at him, her spirited eyes full of doubt. Ethan smiled and kissed her eyes, pulling her to squat down to fiddle with that suitcase. Enter the password to open it. The password is your birthday. Chloe opened it curiously and was instantly shocked. Neatly arranged inside the box were 23 gifts. Ethan told her that since he sometimes neglected her birthday due to work, this time he would make up for 23 gifts all at once. Birthday gifts from her birth until now. Chloe, I will remember every one of your birthdays in the future. Chloe was moved to a mess, hugging him tightly, unwilling to let go. Recalling this, Chloe's face was already covered in tears. Even though many years had passed, she still clearly remembered how happy and moved she was back then. It's a pity that times change and people change. Lovers eventually become strangers. Chloe wiped the tears from her face and mechanically stuffed things into the suitcase. Halfway through packing, she received a call from a mutual friend. Chloe thought ironically, Ethan really was a master of time management. While coaxing his little mistress, he didn't forget to ask a friend to appease her. Seeing that Chloe was determined to divorce, the friend could only sigh. Chloe, I just hope you won't regret your decision in the future. When Chloe finished packing and planned to leave, a noise came from the main door. She looked up and saw Ethan, soaking wet. Chloe, don't go. Listen to my explanation, okay? Just as Chloe wanted to open her mouth to refuse, the phone next to the suitcase lit up. Just this once, Chloe froze instantly. Ethan's movement to hug her paused, following her gaze, bending down to pick up the phone on the floor. Chloe's heart skipped a beat. She picked up the phone one step faster than him and put it in her pocket. Ethan asked her with red eyes, Chloe, what's wrong? Chloe's brain had stopped working. Nothing. The message on the phone was from the doctor. She glanced at it, just in time to see the doctor saying she was pregnant. Chloe's periods had always been irregular, and she hadn't conceived once in many years of marriage, so she didn't think about pregnancy. She and Ethan had once looked forward to having a baby so much. Ethan had fasted, bathed, and prayed sincerely for this many times, but she never got pregnant. Later, they tacitly stopped mentioning this matter. But now, Chloe subconsciously touched her lower abdomen, thoughts racing. This child really came at a bad time. She didn't want Ethan to know about her pregnancy for the time being. The plan to leave was disrupted. Chloe had to perfunctorily say a few words to Ethan and lay back on the bed. Seeing this, Ethan tucked her in and went to the bathroom. Only then did Chloe pick up her phone to text the doctor to ask about the situation. Doctor, I had a fever reduction injection that day and took fever medicine. Does it have any effect on the child? The doctor dared not make a definitive statement, only telling her to go to the hospital for a checkup first, and a conclusion could only be made after getting the report. Seeing this answer, Chloe felt even less assured. Although she and Ethan had reached the end, the baby was innocent. For so many years, she had always wanted a baby. Now that her wish finally came true, Chloe wanted to keep the baby, a baby that belonged only to her. After a while, the bathroom door opened. Ethan walked to the bedside wrapped in a bath towel. The big bed sank slightly. After Ethan got into bed, he pulled Chloe into his arms. Wife, we haven't been together for a long time. He blew into Chloe's ear, warm breath brushing past her ear, causing her to tremble. Chloe subconsciously protected her stomach, daring not struggle hard, nor wanting to tell the truth, so she could only say coldly, Ethan, let go of me or get lost and sleep in the guest bedroom. Knowing he was in the wrong today, Ethan dared not anger Chloe further, so he could only let go of her and retreat to the side. Chloe's tense nerves finally relaxed a little. Her brain was originally a mess, but for the sake of the child, she could only force herself to sleep. The next morning, when Chloe woke up, Ethan was no longer at home. She took leave from Mia, and went to the hospital alone. The doctor's face became grave after getting her report, and Chloe's heart was suspended high. When the doctor gave the final result, Chloe's heart fell directly to rock bottom. Fetal growth is abnormal. To minimize harm to the body, make plans early. Chloe walked out of the consulting room like a walking corpse. At this moment, she blamed herself immensely, regretted immensely. If only she had listened to the doctor that day of the fever, did the checkup first, and didn't rush to take injections and medicine. Then would the baby have been kept? Unfortunately, nothing can be redone. Since that's the case, then cut the Gordian knot. Life has to go on. She didn't want to be held back by anything anymore. Scheduled for abortion surgery on Friday morning, Chloe went home to rest. She knew there was a tough battle waiting for her tonight. Since the child couldn't be kept, she didn't plan to hide it from Ethan anymore. Ethan definitely wouldn't be so calm knowing she was pregnant and had to have an abortion. She needed to rest well. But it was almost midnight, and there was no sign of Ethan coming home, nor did he leave her a single word. Chloe couldn't describe how she felt at this moment. Sad? No, maybe numb. She dialed Ethan's phone. It was answered instantly. But before she could make a sound, Molly's voice came out. Sister Chloe, Sr. fell asleep. Call back tomorrow if you have anything. With that, she hung up the phone. Chloe didn't get angry, planning to inform him by phone tomorrow morning. There was still time. The next morning, Chloe was already at the hospital, but Ethan's phone couldn't be reached. Seeing that her surgery was approaching. Just as Chloe wanted to call Mia, Ethan's call came in. Chloe, sorry, my phone ran out of battery, just turned it on. Our group had a new breakthrough last night. Everyone was drinking to celebrate, and I forgot to report to you in the excitement. Ethan was afraid Chloe would misunderstand and explained very quickly. Chloe didn't care much and went straight to the point. Do you have time to come to the hospital now? Ethan asked anxiously. Chloe, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? It's nothing serious, just. Before Chloe finished speaking, she was interrupted by Molly's scream from the other end of the phone. Molly, are you okay? Ethan hurriedly dropped the phone to check on Molly's condition. She gave a self-deprecating laugh, finally hung up the phone, and walked towards the operating room alone. After getting off work in the evening, Ethan came home early. Seeing the pale-faced Chloe resting on the bed, a trace of guilt flashed in his eyes. Chloe, sorry this morning. It's okay. Chloe didn't want to listen and interrupted him. Ethan caught a glimpse of the medicine bag from the hospital out of the corner of his eye, sat on the side of her bed, and asked with concern, How is your body? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? Chloe was sickly and didn't have the energy to talk nonsense with him, slowly turning to the other side to rest. Chloe, don't be unhappy. When you get better, I'll take you on the Northwest Loop trip you've been talking about, okay? Married for 7 years, this was the first time Ethan said he would take Chloe on a trip. In the past, every time Chloe pestered him wanting to travel to relax, Ethan would always refuse with various reasons. Even the honeymoon trip was canceled because he was busy with work. And the Northwest Loop, Chloe had long been there by herself, but she didn't want to tell Ethan. Although he actively mentioned traveling this time, Chloe knew that by the moment of departure, Ethan would 100% have an excuse not to go. This was a trip destined to exist only in words. So Chloe perfunctorily said, Okay. Ethan was pleasantly surprised that Chloe actually agreed. In his eyes, this response from Chloe was a precursor to their imminent reconciliation. I knew you still loved me, Chloe. I won't disappoint you again. Really. Won't disappoint her again. Without expectations, where does disappointment come from? Actually, thinking seriously, it was understandable that Ethan would be attracted to Molly. Ethan's life was plain and ordinary. Tested from his hometown to Beijing, then passed through trials to enter the astronomy bureau. Emotionally, having a girlfriend he had been with for 12 years. Many people envied his smooth future. But for the person involved, these days were as plain as boiled water. And Molly was a splash of color in these plain days. She was beautiful, flamboyant, and passionate. He was involuntarily attracted to her. He would take her to anime conventions he had never touched, take her drag racing all night, take her to see the sunrise on snow-capped mountains. Experiencing all the things couples would do. Seeing Chloe's condition improving, Ethan applied for leave from his leader on Saturday. He started sticking to Chloe 24 hours a day. As if afraid Chloe would regret it, he tried to please Chloe all the time. He seriously planned the Northwest trip. From hotels, air tickets to the itinerary for every day after arrival. It seemed he was really looking forward to this delayed honeymoon trip. Unknown if it was fate, the flight tickets Ethan booked were for the same day as Chloe's ticket to Paris. Chloe was playing games listlessly on the side. Social media pushed a status update at this time. Seeing Molly's name, she knew her daily self-torture time had arrived. Since Ethan went on leave, Molly didn't know if it was masochism or to disgust Chloe. She started posting about her feelings for Ethan on social media every day. Chloe watched all this expressionlessly. Today, she seemed to have reached the limit of her endurance and posted a message without thinking, "He will definitely be mine." The corner of Chloe's mouth lifted slightly, and she also posted a status. "My husband promised to put down everything here and travel the world with me. Life is only 30,000 days. Happy one day is one day. The past will eventually be the past. Let's live well in the future." Molly finally couldn't hold back and asked to meet Chloe in the afternoon. In the cafe, Chloe saw her full of haggardness. Molly's eyes were red, asking Chloe with a trembling voice, "Do you love him that much? Even after he and I are like this, you still won't give him up?" Chloe waved her hand noncommittally. "He said he loves me, he would die without me." Molly looked even more broken. "You are leaving? Why? Why didn't he tell me?" Chloe took a screenshot of the flight ticket Ethan booked and opened it for her to see. Deliberately saying, 12 years of feelings with him, he cried begging for my forgiveness. I said if he is willing to resign and leave with me, I will forgive him. He agreed without a second of hesitation. Chloe raised her eyebrows and smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Molly went almost mad, grabbing her hair with both hands, biting her lower lip hard, a broken sound coming from her throat. "Impossible, this is impossible," he said. "He said he has me in his heart." Chloe looked at her indifferently. Molly indeed knew how to strike at the heart. On the day of the 7th anniversary, getting on the trending search with Ethan in a high-profile manner, letting Chloe know about their relationship. Seeing Chloe's car, she designed it so Chloe would see their entanglement. Again and again, making Ethan abandon Chloe and choose her. But Ethan's degree of importance to Chloe became the only failure in her plan. All kinds of calculations, in the end, drawing water with a bamboo basket, all in vain. Molly pounced over in anger and shame, wanting to hit Chloe, but was slapped to the ground by Chloe. Chloe squatted down, pulling her collar, smiling sarcastically. "Little sister, being a mistress requires self-awareness. To save me, he was willing to not even want his life. You don't really think," Chloe paused deliberately, "you can win against me, right?" Seeing the unwillingness on her pretty face, Chloe kindly reminded her again that if Ethan really left with her tomorrow, she would forgive him, and they would live well together. But if he didn't go with Chloe, they would never have a possibility. Chloe didn't say the rest of the words. Seeing Molly's eyes light up, Chloe knew she understood. At the entrance of the residential complex, Ethan looked at his phone repeatedly with an anxious face. He pursed his lips tightly, looking at Chloe with guilt and apology. "Chloe, this time is different. Molly is going to jump off the building at the Research Institute. How about we postpone this Northwest trip?" Molly really could be cruel to herself. Chloe didn't speak, just looked at him calmly. Without blinking, she etched the appearance of this man she had loved for 12 years into her heart over and over again. When his patience was about to run out, Chloe suddenly spoke. "I already know why you didn't eat with me on my birthday." Ethan's face froze immediately, wanting to explain but not knowing how to start. After a while, he spoke. That anime meet and greet had an author Molly really likes. It was his last time attending a meet and greet. "I promised it as a graduation gift before, couldn't refuse." Chloe laughed. "That's also an author I like." Ethan stunned for a few seconds, habitually speaking. Then next time I. The words he didn't finish came to an abrupt halt. "There is no next time." Chloe stared into his eyes and spoke firmly. The two looked at each other like this for a few minutes. Chloe suddenly lowered her head and waved at him. "Molly wants to jump off a building. You are the team leader. It's inappropriate not to go handle it." "You go." After struggling with his head down for a few seconds, Ethan looked at Chloe pleadingly. "Then the Northwest Loop." Chloe hooked her lips. "We'll talk about it if there's a chance in the future." As if obtaining a pardon, Ethan braved the heavy rain to hail a taxi back to the astronomy bureau. Before going to the airport, Chloe specifically printed out the abortion receipt and placed it on Ethan's bedside table. Then she took a taxi to the airport. While waiting for the flight, Chloe scrolled through her phone out of boredom. All photos related to Ethan in the album had been deleted by her. She just wanted to see if there were any that slipped through the net. Scrolling to the oldest date, Chloe indeed found a fish. It was a photo snapped by Mia when Ethan proposed to her. In the photo, Ethan was wearing a well-tailored black suit, kneeling on one knee holding a ring looking at her. Those affectionate eyes were full of tears. Chloe covered her mouth with both hands, face full of shock. At that time, they genuinely loved each other. Unfortunately, things change and the past is gone. People who loved each other eventually become strangers. After deleting the photo, Chloe closed her eyes to rest. An hour later, Chloe boarded the plane, destination Paris. Before taking off, Chloe sent a compressed file to both parents and mutual friends. When the plane landed, it was 10 a.m. Paris time. The person Mia sent to pick her up was standing in the crowd holding a sign. Chloe waved to signal and walked towards that person. "Hello, President Sterling. I am your assistant. My name is Harrison Stone." Harrison introduced himself while taking her luggage. Chloe nodded in acknowledgement. "President Sterling, the car picking you up is outside. Please follow me." Harrison's attitude was very warm and respectful, and Chloe couldn't help but start sizing him up. Looking closely, Harrison shouldn't be very old, his looks were first class, and his body proportions were perfect. Chloe couldn't help muttering, "That girl Mia, where did she find this person, truly living up to being someone who sees beauty openly?" "President Sterling, what did you say?" Harrison, who was leading the way, heard her whispering and turned to look at her, asking respectfully. Chloe changed her face in a second and said solemnly, "Nothing, thank you for your hard work." Harrison put on a signature smile and said loudly, "Serving President Sterling is not hard work." Seeing him so cheerful, Chloe couldn't help but laugh along. Chloe was sitting in the back row resting her eyes in the car when Harrison sat in the passenger seat and turned his head to whisper, "President Sterling, President Stone arranged a welcome banquet for you remotely. Would you like to go back to your residence to rest and get over the jet lag first, or go directly to the banquet venue?" Only then did Chloe open her eyes to look at him. Harrison said again, "President Stone arranged your residence in the villa area near the company. The welcome banquet is in the south of the city. The two directions are not on the way. The company employees are looking forward to it." Chloe stared at his opening and closing mouth and actually started to have tinnitus. She didn't hear clearly what Harrison said later, but she could draw a conclusion from his expression. This little assistant really looked forward to her attending the welcome banquet. After the abortion, Chloe didn't have time to rest well, and after a long journey sitting on a plane for nearly 10 hours, her body was already in an overloaded state. But she really couldn't bear to spoil everyone's fun, nor could she bear to brush off Mia's kindness. So Chloe said, "Let's go to the welcome banquet." "All right." Harrison sat up straight and told the driver in French to turn around and go to the welcome banquet. Chloe guessed that her face must be very ugly right now, so she took out a cushion compact to touch up her makeup. When putting the compact back into the bag, the phone in the side pocket vibrated twice. Chloe took it out to check. It was a message from Ethan. "Chloe, don't be angry with me. Molly's condition hasn't been good. I'm afraid she'll try suicide again, so I have to stay to watch her tonight. I'll go back to accompany you when her condition gets a bit better. Wife, I love you. When I get home, we'll go to the Northwest Loop. Wait for me." Chloe looked at these two text messages and suddenly hooked her lips ironically. She couldn't help sighing. Ethan really was a thorough good man. He was afraid that the sound of calling his wife, the sound of their communication, would stimulate his little mistress, so for something like staying out all night, he only sent a text message to notify. Ethan loves Chloe. This is the funniest joke in the world. Chloe didn't block or delete Ethan, because she knew doing this kind of thing was meaningless. No matter how many times she blocked Ethan, he would always find a way to contact her. So, meaningless things, Chloe didn't plan to do anymore. Moreover, as a company boss, she had to contact and communicate with clients frequently. The phone number couldn't be easily changed. Chloe silenced the phone and put it back in her bag, watching the scenery of the strange city fly past her eyes outside the window, feeling dizzy and dazzled. Harrison exclaimed in shock for the driver to stop in the emergency lane. The last scene Chloe saw was Harrison rushing towards her with an anxious face, and then she fainted. When she woke up again, Chloe smelled the strong, choking scent of disinfectant before she even opened her eyes. "President Sterling, you're awake. You scared me to death." Harrison sat by her side watching the IV drip, looking haggard. Chloe was stunned, and glancing out the window seeing it was already dark, she instantly understood. "You've been here taking care of me?" As soon as she spoke, Chloe was startled by her own hoarse voice. "Yes, entrusted by President Stone, I must take good care of you." Harrison got up and cranked up the hospital bed for Chloe first, then poured her a glass of water. Chloe felt a bit guilty and a bit awkward. Two strangers, she really couldn't feel at ease. "Thank you." Chloe took the water cup to thank him, thinking inside she would tell that girl Mia later not to stuff men at her anymore. Chloe figured out her little scheme. "President Sterling, you don't need to be polite. I am Mia's distant cousin, having received her care for many years, so I must go all out for the things she entrusted." Chloe held the water cup with a pale face, looking at him somewhat helplessly, not knowing what to say for a moment. Seeing that Chloe was still somewhat restrained even after he revealed his identity, Harrison ruffled his hair and grinned. "President Sterling, otherwise don't space out for now. Reimburse the fine for my emergency parking first." Chloe couldn't help spitting a mouthful of water all over Harrison's face. The atmosphere instantly became lively. While Chloe was drowsy on the hospital bed, Ethan sent her messages again. "Chloe, are you asleep? Why haven't you replied to my messages? I miss you so much." Chloe reached for her phone, and before unlocking it, she saw these mushy words and shivered instantly. Harrison looked sideways and saw it, asking confusedly, "President Sterling, do you have friends in Paris? Haven't heard President Stone mention it." Chloe looked up from the phone and said calmly, "Irrelevant news, maybe someone sent it to the wrong person." "Wrong person?" Harrison mumbled softly, but he clearly saw the contact name Ethan Wright. How could a stranger's number have a saved name? Harrison realized. It must be President Sterling's husband. "President Stone told me general information about you. I seem to remember your husband's surname is Wright. Brother-in-law should still be in Beijing, right? It should be 2 a.m. Beijing time now. For brother-in-law to text you at this time, it seems he really loves you. President Sterling is truly happy." True love? Happy? If Chloe told him that Ethan was texting her from a mistress's bed, would he still think she was happy? If he hadn't not come home, how could Ethan not have seen the things she left for him? "Why isn't President Sterling speaking? Did I hit the mark and make you shy?" Harrison looked handsome, but his mouth just kept yapping. Chloe was dizzy from his noise, but given his relationship with Mia, she couldn't say much, so she could only half-jokingly say, "Assistant Stone, if you are really envious, I can ask Mia to introduce a girlfriend to you." "Don't." Harrison shut up instantly and went aside to play with his phone. Chloe laughed dumbfoundedly. So this guy was afraid of this. She found Harrison's weakness so quickly. Also, even as Mia's cousin, his family background must not be bad. His domestic company was doing well, yet Harrison was willing to come to the Paris branch. There must be some reason. Now it seemed he was here to dodge marriage. One more bottle of fluid, and she could be discharged. Chloe lay on the bed, her body unusually tired, but she couldn't fall asleep no matter what. She was thinking, did no one open the compressed file she sent? How could Ethan still text her so calmly? Thinking back and forth, it could only be that Molly was too clingy, and he texted her in snatched moments. However, regardless of whether her guess was correct, it didn't matter anymore. Just as Chloe was thinking wildly, her phone started singing again. She reached for it, and when she saw the caller ID, Chloe was so scared she almost dropped the phone. It was a call from her dearest mother. Chloe had been fearless since childhood, but was most afraid of her mother crying and scolding her. She lost her father at a young age, and it wasn't easy for her mother to support her schooling alone. So Chloe matured very early. She had always been excellent in character and learning, receiving awards until her hands were soft, the child of another family in adults' mouths. Maybe it was this long-term, high-pressure learning method. Or maybe Chloe put too much pressure on herself. She invisibly suffered from depression. After her mother remarried when she was in college, her depression symptoms became more severe. But she kept her illness from her mother. Chloe didn't want her mother to worry about her. The impulse she had when sending the compressed file faded. Chloe now only regretted being impulsive at that time. She wanted to pretend she wasn't there and let the phone hang up by itself. Who knew the phone rang again and again, as if it wouldn't stop until she answered. Chloe had no choice but to take a deep breath and answer the phone, calling out sweetly, "Mom! Baby, you finally answered Mom's call." Hearing her daughter's forced, cheerful voice, Mother Sterling started crying instantly. "Mom, don't cry, aren't I fine? I'll be worried if you cry." Hearing her daughter's choking voice, Mother Sterling sniffled and said quickly, "Mom won't cry, baby, don't worry." "Baby, tell Mom, did that bastard Ethan really do something to sorry you? Is everything in the compressed file you sent Mom true?" Chloe didn't want her mother to worry, but having impulsively sent those things to everyone, she could only tell the truth at this moment. "Yes, Mom, I want a divorce." In Mother Sterling's eyes, Ethan had always been the spokesperson for a good son-in-law. Mother Sterling liked him very much, treating him as well as if he were her own son. Even Chloe, the biological daughter, would sometimes get jealous. It turned out that a person treated so wholeheartedly by the Sterling family actually did such disgusting things. Mother Sterling knew how much her daughter loved that stinky man. Hearing her daughter say she wanted a divorce so calmly, she felt terrible inside. "Baby, whatever decision you make, Mom will support you. Mom only hopes you can be happy forever. Mom and Uncle George are your strongest backing." A few sentences made Chloe's eyes hot. She took a deep breath to hold back the urge to cry, speaking with a heavy nasal tone. "Mom, I know." With her family's understanding, Chloe felt warm inside, and the gloom from before dissipated a lot. When Ethan woke up the next day, he found himself lying with someone. He habitually reached out to hug that person's waist. Wrong, the feeling was wrong. This wasn't Chloe's body. Scared, his eyes widened and he got up hurriedly. Yesterday, he rushed to the research institute to coax Molly down from the roof. When preparing to go back to find Chloe, Molly hugged him from behind, crying so pitifully. "Don't leave tonight, okay? Senior, I beg you, just tonight. Love me who has loved you for so long. Just accompany me for one night, okay?" Ethan wavered. There were two little people pulling in his mind. One told him to go back. Chloe was waiting for him to travel. But the other told him, "Stay, Chloe, let him come. If she gets angry, just coax her a few more times, cry a few more times. She will forgive him." But Molly's tears were scalding hot. He couldn't bear it. Looking at Molly sleeping beside him, Ethan had a feeling of impending loss regarding Chloe. Heart aching so much he couldn't breathe. He suddenly remembered the nostalgic yet resolute look in Chloe's eyes when saying goodbye at the residential complex gate yesterday, as if never to meet again. Several text messages he sent to Chloe also sank into the ocean. The more Ethan thought, the more panicked he became, rushing to the floor to find his phone. Dead battery, turned off. The phone shut down after sending the text to Chloe yesterday. He seemed to remember other messages coming in, but his mind was on the two women, and he had no time to attend to others. Ethan grabbed the charger, plugging it in several times before it connected. The waiting time of the next 2 minutes felt like 2 centuries to Ethan. Finally, the phone could turn on. The next second, a call came in. After answering, it was a menacing scolding. Ethan was confused. A moment later, he understood that Chloe had edited the matter between him and Molly into a video and sent it to relatives and friends. At the end of the video, she left a sentence in her unique style. "This video is a wedding gift for Mr. Ethan Wright and Miss Molly Flowers, wishing the couple a happy life together." Hanging up the phone, he clicked on Chloe's chat box. Inside was only one sentence. "The divorce agreement is on the dining table. Sign it and leave my house, thank you." Ethan broke down and cried loudly. This commotion woke Molly up. She sat up sleepily, winding around Ethan's shoulders like a snake, her voice carrying the huskiness of the aftermath. "Senior, what happened?" Ethan had no time to pay attention to the seducing Molly, trembling as he dialed Chloe's phone. The call connected, and his trembling heart rejoiced for a moment. Chloe didn't block him. Did it mean everything was still salvageable? "Senior, stop calling. Look at me, okay?" Molly lifted the quilt, turning over to straddle Ethan's lap. "That woman is old and unromantic. You've been together for 12 years. Didn't you also say you were tired of it long ago? Isn't it good for us to be together?" Saying that, Molly was about to kiss his thin lips. Ethan exploded in rage instantly. He gave Molly a slap, raging madly. "It's all your fault, it's all because you seduced me that Chloe won't answer my calls." Molly was stunned, her eyes filling with tears, looking pitifully at the man dressing in front of her. She had been by Ethan's side for so long, he had never treated her like this. He had always been obedient to her, better than to his wife. Today Chloe just didn't answer his call, and he exploded like this. Molly couldn't understand why. Just as Ethan was about to leave, Molly chased out naked. "Senior Ethan, I won't let you go," Molly screamed heart-wrenchingly several times, but Ethan never looked back, leaving hurriedly. Ethan slammed the door and came out, stepping on the gas all the way back home. This summer, there was a lot of rain. He failed to brake several times, nearly causing car accidents. Drivers who were almost hit rolled down their windows to curse him regardless of the heavy rain. But he seemed entranced, hearing nothing. Only one thought in mind: go home and find Chloe. She loved him so much. She would soften. If not, he would kneel and beg her. Chloe is soft-hearted, everything is still in time, he firmly believed. But after Ethan returned home, there was no one inside and the home seemed half empty. Everything belonging to Chloe was gone. He suddenly remembered when Chloe was packing before, he joked on the side. "We're just traveling, not leaving forever. Why are you packing so much?" What did Chloe say at that time? She said nothing, just looked at him calmly. Ethan's heart ached as if pricked by needles. So Chloe had decided to leave him that early? No, definitely not. Chloe was just angry. She was just hiding, waiting for him to coax her. She would forgive him. Ethan searched frantically for things belonging to Chloe in the house. He comforted himself that as long as he could still find something belonging to her, she would still come home. The house was empty just because she didn't like these ornaments anymore. Also, it's been 7 years. It's normal she didn't like them. When she comes home, he will take leave to accompany Chloe to repurchase everything. As long as it's something she likes, he will buy it all for her. As long as she comes back. As long as Chloe comes back. But after searching for a long time, everything belonging to Chloe in the house had been cleaned out by her. The string that Ethan held tight was about to snap. "Chloe, you can't be so cruel." Holding on to the last hope, Ethan walked into their bedroom. From a distance, he saw a piece of paper on the bedside table. Ethan's heart was instantly lifted, and he walked over quickly. But when he saw the words abortion clearly written on the receipt, he completely collapsed. "Chloe, we actually had a baby. I'm sorry." Ethan slowly knelt down, tears smashing onto the receipt drop by drop. The phone rang, but Chloe wouldn't answer. Ethan had no choice but to go to Chloe's company to find her. He parked the car horizontally at the main entrance of Chloe's company and rushed out to run inside. But just as he stepped into the company gate, he was stopped by the security guard downstairs. The security guard looked businesslike. The boss ordered that irrelevant people cannot enter the company. Ethan's heart was bleeding. Seeing the security guard stopping him, he assumed Chloe must be in the company and planned to force his way in. The security guard had an overwhelming sense of responsibility, blocking him firmly from going upstairs. The tussle between the two attracted a crowd of colleagues working overtime and passers-by to stop and watch. "Sir, I won't let you upstairs no matter what today. If you still have our president Sterling in your heart and want to save some face for her, you wouldn't be so insensible." The security guard's face was extremely dark. Ethan finally calmed down. He scanned the circle following the security guard's line of sight, and his heart sank instantly. Most employees in the company knew he was Chloe's husband. He couldn't make a scene and increase her burden, embarrassing her. If Chloe really didn't want him because he embarrassed her, he wouldn't know where to cry. After apologizing sincerely to the security guard, Ethan drove to find their mutual friends. But he didn't get a single good face. Ethan had no choice but to call Mia desperately. On the 10th call, Mia finally answered. He learned from Mia that Chloe's depression showed signs of relapse recently, and she was hospitalized after fainting due to physical weakness from the abortion. Ethan refused to believe it, nor was he willing to believe it. After asking around for a few days, he finally knew that Chloe went to Paris. Wouldn't be back for 2 or 3 years. Ethan froze in place, his brain instantly blank, as if struck by lightning. Then he laughed at himself. The person who could be found at any time before now required all kinds of inquiries to know her tracks. Ethan clicked on the chat box, suddenly realizing that Chloe had actually drifted away from him long ago. She stopped sharing her daily life with him very early on, only he was immersed in Molly at that time. Now, messages to her only received a red exclamation mark. Opening her social media, previous romance updates were all deleted. The only thing left was a reposted post. When did you completely give up on someone after repeated deception and concealment? I hope I can always live happily. Ethan refreshed the screen masochistically, as if as long as he persevered, the daily updates Chloe posted before would all come back. He suddenly remembered 3 years ago, when Chloe also went to Paris for a post. But because he fell ill, she resolutely returned to the country just to take care of him. At that time, when she saw his weak self, her eyes reddened instantly. He coaxed her for a long time lying on the sickbed before cheering her up. At that time, Mia was angry and helpless because Chloe suddenly ran back, scolding her. "Chloe Sterling, you hopeless romantic, you're hopeless." How did Chloe answer at that time? Ethan suddenly remembered, Chloe's eyes were full of him, refuting Mia with a little pride. "My man is sick, of course I have to accompany him by his side. So what if I'm a hopeless romantic? I want to be with him life after life." Hearing this, Ethan smiled until his eyes narrowed into a line. Mia was so grossed out by these words that she didn't stay a moment longer and ran out of the ward. Ethan stared at Chloe's blank social media page, recalling many beautiful pasts with her. His love at first sight when they first met, his attentive companionship after getting to know each other, his uncontrollability after Chloe's symptoms improved, his sincere happiness and bliss after getting together, his nervousness and uncontrollable tears when proposing, his uncontrollable tears and the happiness of possessing the whole world when she agreed to marry him. When getting married, his tears of pain and joy from wanting to possess her uncontrollably. After marriage, their happy and warm little home. Until now, he lost the girl whose heart and eyes were full of him, lost the baby they looked forward to so much. He deserved to die. 10,000 deaths would not absolve his guilt. It was like a shot in the heart, bleeding from 1,000 holes. Ethan knew why Chloe left so resolutely, but he really couldn't accept it. A few days ago, he still wanted to use his tears and pleading to exchange for her forgiveness. He thought that as long as he was humble enough, Chloe would eventually be soft-hearted. But he forgot that Chloe was a very stubborn person. Because she had experienced a lot, once she decided on something, that was the final result, with no room for discussion. So in this marriage, seeing Chloe always compromising and yielding to him, Ethan forgot Chloe's true personality. When he came to his senses and wanted to admit his mistakes and correct them, Chloe didn't plan to give him a chance anymore. The love she gave him had been taken back, and her heart had completely died. Chloe gave up on him. Ethan panicked, was afraid, and regretted. Only after knowing Chloe abandoned him and went abroad did Ethan completely understand his heart. Ethan finally understood that Molly was just a little excitement in his plain and happy marriage. The person he loved from beginning to end was only Chloe. Molly threatened him with death, kept him with tears. He wanted to stay but was condemned by inner morality. In the end, he could only brainwash himself. It was Chloe who let him come. He would indulge just this once, and he would honestly return to Chloe's side. Chloe wouldn't know. That's how he wore away the last chance Chloe gave him. Now no one cared if he and Molly flew together. But he regretted it to the point his intestines turned green. Regretted so much he wished he could kill himself. After Chloe was discharged, she plunged into work. She used only 2 days to make the Paris employees accept her and genuinely admire her as the new leader. While Harrison was surprised by her ability, Chloe was buried in contracts without lifting her head. Saying lightly, "It's normal." Harrison admired capable women the most, otherwise he wouldn't be obedient to Mia. At this moment, his admiration for Chloe reached its peak, almost writing a big line on his face telling others, "I am Chloe Sterling's fanboy." Regarding this Paris trip, Chloe was satisfied everywhere, only she really didn't understand why Mia insisted on arranging Harrison into her home. Originally, the villa next to the company was rented to her by Mia, resulting in one day, Harrison greeted her in advance saying he wanted to move. Chloe originally thought he was joking. Who knew, the afternoon of the day Harrison sent the message, he really moved in with bags big and small. claiming nicely, being in a foreign land, insufficient funds. Chloe said she would help him out a bit. Harrison said again, a gentleman does not eat food handed out in contempt. Chloe. Could it be just because she knew she divorced Ethan, she wanted to stuff a man to anger Ethan? Chloe couldn't help laughing dumbfoundedly. That girl Mia was a bit too childish. On the first weekend in Paris, Mia came to Paris to inspect work. President Stone, you really attend to 10,000 things a day, not giving employees rest on weekends. Chloe curled up in the sofa, teasing Mia. Mia glared at her, stating clearly, don't think I can't hear you saying I exploit employees. Being exposed, Chloe hugged the pillow, smiling with curved eyes. Don't change the subject. I ask you, are you and your Ethan really going to divorce? Have you really made up your mind? Mia snatched Chloe's pillow, hugging it in her arms and asking. Chloe didn't want to discuss that man, picking up the milk on the table to change the topic. Next time you come to Paris, remember to buy me a box of domestic milk. I always feel foreign milk isn't as pure as domestic ones. Chloe Sterling, Mia stared with big eyes, calling her sternly. Don't change the subject, answer my question. Only then did Chloe become serious. I've made up my mind, really decided to divorce. Then does Ethan still disagree? Otherwise, he wouldn't keep calling me to harass me. He keeps calling you? Chloe frowned slightly. Mia raised her eyebrows. Yeah, I purposely didn't block him, just to let him feel the despair of seemingly having hope but seeing none. Chloe gave a thumbs up in admiration. As expected of you. Mia tucked her hair and said, Ethan's little mistress probably got dumped by him. She came to make a scene at the company gate 2 days ago. I had security stop her, warning her that if she dared to come again, I would report their dirty deeds to their unit. Turns out it really worked. She hasn't come to make trouble these days. In my opinion, Chloe, you are still too good-tempered. What's the use of just sending their dirty deeds to relatives and friends? You should have reported it directly to the Astronomy Bureau. Chloe listened and didn't speak again. She just didn't do things so absolutely for the sake of those 12 years of youth. If Ethan really angered her one day, she wouldn't mind reporting directly to their unit. That weekend, Mia got up early. She wanted to take Chloe out for a big shopping spree. Resulting in just as her left foot put on a high heel, Chloe's phone started ringing frantically. Chloe, this is your Uncle George. Your mom just fainted and was rushed to the hospital. Chloe, come back quickly to see. Uncle George's name is George Miller, Chloe's mother's second husband. Chloe always called him Uncle George. Hearing this news, Chloe panicked so much she almost dropped her phone, changing shoes and running out. Mia thought she was anxious to shop, chasing behind. Chloe, wait for me. Until sitting in the car, driving towards the airport, only then did Chloe calm down to explain. My mom is hospitalized. The atmosphere in the car was silent. Mother Sterling had always been healthy. Sudden fainting and hospitalization must have another reason. Thinking carefully about Uncle George's unfinished sentence just now, Chloe guessed it must be Ethan seeing he couldn't contact her, running to her mother to beg for forgiveness and admit mistakes. Mia, call Ethan right now. I want to know where he is. Chloe gripped the steering wheel tightly, looking at the road ahead, her expression very grave. Mia understood instantly, hurriedly finding the missed call to dial back. The ringtone kept ringing until it hung up. Ethan didn't answer, further confirming Chloe's guess. Chloe pressed her red lips tightly, her eyes full of suppressed anger. Mia was afraid she would drive aggressively, so she could only comfort her nonstop. On the plane, Chloe also kept her nerves tense. Until the plane landed and she rushed to the hospital, seeing Mother Sterling awake and in good condition, Chloe's suspended heart finally landed. Suddenly seeing Chloe, Ethan dared not step forward for a moment. Standing blankly in the corner of the ward, clutching the hem of his clothes tightly, staring at Chloe with red eyes. After comforting Mother Sterling, Chloe turned and glanced at him before walking out. Ethan followed her footsteps closely out of the ward into the safety stairwell on the side. Chloe took out a cigarette pack, just planning to smoke when Ethan walked over to hold her hand, voice hoarse. Just Miss Carr. Just as he opened his mouth, he saw Chloe's cold eyes shoot over, finally fixing on his hand holding hers. Ethan's eyes flashed with hurt, stiffly withdrawing his hand. Chloe, don't smoke, your body can't handle these. Chloe scoffed, putting the cigarette back in her pocket. Whether I can handle it or not, what does it have to do with you? Ethan, is my mom hospitalized because of you? Ethan lowered his head, daring not speak like a child who did something wrong. Only then did Chloe start to size him up seriously. Wrinkled clothes out of shape, chin covered in blue stubble, hair also messy and out of shape. Chloe couldn't overlap him with the meticulous, dustless man in her memory for a moment. But so what? Everything was his own doing. Ethan, take this opportunity, let's go get the divorce certificate. I'll contact you again after scheduling a time. Chloe didn't want to pull and push with him anymore, dropping this sentence and wanting to leave. Ethan looked forward for a long time to see Chloe. How could he let Chloe leave so easily? Chloe, don't go, don't leave me again. Please. Ethan blocked in front of Chloe, hugged her waist, and knelt down directly. Wife, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I beg you, for the sake of how good we used to be, forgive me this time, okay? Chloe stood still. She could feel the clothes at her lower abdomen were already wet. Ethan, your tears are really worthless. Chloe didn't push away, nor did she welcome it, just speaking unusually coldly. Ethan's body trembled non-stop, heart aching to the point of suffocation. He begged bitterly, Wife, I beg you, give me another chance. This time I definitely won't do things that hurt you again. We will have babies again. It was fine not to mention the baby, but mentioning the baby, Chloe exploded like a cat with blown fur. She slapped Ethan hard, ruthlessly saying, Ethan, you are a bastard. You don't deserve to mention the baby and don't call me wife. I feel disgusted. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate tomorrow, or wait to be sued by me. Chloe walked forward without looking back. Ethan's voice came again before she left. Chloe, I saw the diagnosis slip. The baby couldn't be saved because I didn't send you to the hospital in time, right? When asking this sentence, Chloe clearly heard the trembling in his voice. If it were in the past, Chloe would never bear for him to blame himself and be sad. She would definitely tell a white lie to comfort him. But at this moment, Chloe just turned her back to him, answering affirmatively. Yes, the baby is gone, all because of you, it's all your fault. As soon as the voice fell, Ethan couldn't control his emotions anymore, kneeling on the ground, hugging himself, crying heart-wrenchingly, having no more courage and strength to stop Chloe. After returning to Beijing this time, Chloe didn't go home but stayed directly in a hotel. Mother Sterling was fine and didn't need her to stay by the bed. She settled everything and returned to the hotel to rest. It rained heavily at night. Chloe tossed and turned, unable to sleep, so she had to take out the portable laptop she carried in her bag to start working. Around 1 a.m., her room doorbell rang. Chloe put down the computer, picked up a glass vase from the side, and walked over quietly. No one could be seen through the peephole, making Chloe even more cautious. Who? If you don't speak, I'm calling the police. A room service staff poked their head out, hurriedly waving hands to explain. Guest, really sorry to disturb you so late. We really have no choice. There's someone kneeling in the rain downstairs, seriously affecting the hotel's normal operation. Can you go downstairs with me to take a look? Only then did Chloe let down her guard, confused. If someone is kneeling in the rain and won't get up, just call the police. Why look for me? The waiter looked troubled. Hotels are most afraid of this situation. Calling the police without cause will cause unnecessary panic and reduce customer flow. This guest, please help. That person said his name is Ethan Wright, your husband. This is your family matter, look. When Chloe heard this name, her scalp started to tingle. She sent Ethan a divorce appointment message in the evening. Ethan definitely came to make a scene because of this. Chloe didn't want to make it difficult for the waiter, so she had to put on clothes and follow them downstairs. A circle of onlookers had already gathered at the hotel entrance. Although it was early morning, Beijing's early mornings never lacked pedestrians in a hurry. Chloe squeezed through the crowd and walked into the rain. Ethan didn't know how long he had been kneeling in the rain. Not only was he soaked through, but his face was also so pale as if he would faint in the next second. Seeing Chloe coming, Ethan's eyes instantly lit up. He walked to Chloe, wanting to hug her but dared not, afraid she would despise him. Finally, he could only clench his fists tightly, looking up at her with infinite sorrow. Chloe, I knew it, you would definitely come out to see me. You forgave me, right? Chloe didn't know how he reached this conclusion. Standing under a pure black umbrella, she looked down at Ethan. Ethan, you? Before she finished speaking, Ethan's phone rang. The people who could call him at this time could be counted on one hand. Chloe stopped talking, glancing at his phone in his pocket that kept lighting up and going out. Not answering? Maybe they really have something urgent. Maybe the light bulb is broken this time. Don't let your little lover get hurt because you answered late, or I'll be hard-pressed to defend myself. Chloe, don't say that. Ethan's eyes filled with hurt. How could he not know Chloe was mocking him? If it weren't for him going to fix Molly's water pipe delaying Chloe's illness, their baby would be safely in Chloe's belly right now. Every time he thought of himself back then, he hated it extremely, wishing to destroy everything. Under Chloe's cold gaze, Ethan took out his phone tremblingly. The caller ID was indeed Molly. Watching Chloe's indifferent gaze, Ethan's heart also sank to the bottom. Chloe, do you really not care about me anymore? Chloe raised her eyebrows indifferently, even speaking for Molly. The little girl is all alone making a living in Beijing. It's not easy. As a friend, as a leader, you should go see her reasonably and emotionally. Her words were like flying knives, piercing his already riddled heart into even more tatters. Ethan's body swayed. Chloe, I beg you, don't say that, don't treat me like this. I will never put anyone before you again. Please don't, I can't afford it. Chloe took a step back to dodge him, then hooked her lips and smiled. Didn't you tell me she is all alone? Chloe bent slightly closer to him. You should go feel sorry for her. Eyes meeting, Ethan clearly saw the mockery in Chloe's eyes. Piercing pain suddenly surged to his heart. His eye sockets were hot, unable to hide the tears anymore. Tears mixed with rain slid down silently. Only the slightly trembling shoulders could betray that he was heartbroken at this moment. Chloe glanced at him, standing up in disgust. Just as she wanted to open her mouth to say something more, the phone in her hand vibrated cheerfully. Chloe slowly read out the strange number, looking up at Ethan. Your little lover? From his terrified eyes, Chloe knew she guessed right. Chloe, don't answer. Ethan struggled to get up, but because he had been kneeling too long, he fell heavily again. Chloe watched his wretchedness helplessly, without waves. She answered the call, turning on the speaker. Molly's crazy voice ran out instantly. Chloe Sterling, you bitch, why don't you die, give Ethan back to me? Molly, shut up, Ethan shouted in breakdown. Chloe smiled sarcastically, deliberately squatting down next to Ethan, speaking elegantly. Molly, you really want to see him, right? I'll grant your wish. Chloe Sterling, what do you mean? Molly growled with a hoarse voice. Don't rush. Chloe put her phone in her pocket and reached one hand into Ethan's pocket. Ethan stiffened all over, staring at her unblinkingly. Chloe picked up Ethan's phone, unlocked it smoothly, scrolled through WeChat, finally pulled Molly out of the blacklist and dialed a video call. Chloe, what are you doing? Ethan saw her action and asked softly. Chloe gave him a just wait look. After the video connected, Molly said pleasantly, Senior, you finally willing to talk to me? But when seeing Chloe on the other end of the video, Molly's pretty face instantly twisted. Chloe Sterling, have you no shame? We've already slept together, and you still won't let go. Molly, you bitch, shut up. Ethan tried desperately to grab the phone. Chloe raised her hand swiftly to dodge him, then turned the camera to Ethan. Molly, your man is kneeling at my hotel entrance begging for my forgiveness. Look, these people are all witnesses. Saying that, Chloe turned the phone around, then smiled and said, Say, he is so painstaking, should I give him a chance? On the other end of the video, Molly was stunned, then stared at Chloe ferociously. Chloe Sterling, you are a bitch, you dare? Chloe laughed. Why wouldn't I dare? Don't forget, legally I am still his lawful wife. You are just a mistress who can't be shown in public. Before Molly could go crazy again, Chloe hung up the video and the call. She handed the phone to Ethan. Ethan knelt there stiffly, looking at Chloe with eyes full of flickering light. Only then did Chloe realize that the lie she told deliberately to anger Molly also fooled Ethan. She threw the phone onto Ethan's face and stood up abruptly. Her tone was icy. Ethan, stop dreaming. What I just said was to fool fools. While I still have some patience, get lost before leaving, Chloe kindly reminded. By the way, I just made your little lover break down. Go coax her quickly, don't lose the wife in the army. Chloe smiled brightly. Only then did Ethan understand that what she just said was fake. Chloe had already walked far away. Ethan couldn't control his scream anymore. Overwhelming pain wrapped him tightly like invisible waves. He could only cover his face with both hands and cry out loud. After Mother Sterling was discharged, she urged Chloe to return to Paris quickly. Chloe originally planned to accompany her mother for more days. She stayed up all night to finish the necessary work for the week. But seeing her mother so energetic, she was relieved. Before leaving, Mother Sterling pulled Chloe to talk. "Baby, Mom was angered into fainting by that bastard Ethan. You absolutely cannot soften your heart and fall for his tricks again." Only then did Chloe ask, "Mom, don't worry, I won't forgive him again. I'm just curious, what did Ethan do?" Mentioning Ethan, Mother Sterling was furious. "That little bastard knelt outside our gate for 2 days, begging me and your Uncle George for forgiveness. The neighbors knew why he was kneeling and not leaving. Almost laughed me to death. I've never suffered such grievance." Hearing this, Chloe hurriedly comforted her own mother. Mother Sterling lived in her rural hometown, tough all her life, most afraid of others gossiping and poking her spine. Besides, in that rural environment, gossip spreads fast. Ethan doing this really angered Mother Sterling badly. "Mom, don't be angry anymore. I will make things clear with Ethan. He won't disturb you and Uncle George's life anymore." Hearing this, Mother Sterling urged her daughter again. "Baby, it doesn't matter if Mom suffers a little, but you absolutely cannot forgive him again. Our baby is so beautiful and capable, Mom believes baby will meet someone better." Chloe's eyes heated up from Mother Sterling's words. Under her repeated assurances, Mother Sterling finally felt relieved. Chloe wanted to take Mother Sterling home, but Mother Sterling refused to let her stay in Beijing any longer. "Baby, you got the divorce agreement, right? Go back to Paris quickly. That bastard works at the Astronomy Bureau. He can't go abroad without approval. This way you can start a new life." Chloe had no choice but to rent a car for Mother Sterling and instructed her to report safety when she got home. After sending Mother Sterling off, Chloe checked the divorce appointment time. There was still plenty of time. She contacted Ethan, but the phone couldn't get through. Chloe wanted to try her luck at home, incidentally checking if he signed the divorce agreement, resulting in just arriving home and seeing Ethan fainted in the entryway. Chloe kicked the man on the ground. Seeing no sign of him waking up, she had to squat down and drag him to the sofa. Checking his temperature, she found this person had a fever. Chloe didn't care about him anymore but took his phone and sent a text to Molly. "Honey, I have a fever. Can you come take care of me?" The text was replied to very quickly. Chloe looked. Molly had already left. Chloe could imagine how happy Molly must be right now. She went around the entire house, finally discovering fragments of the divorce agreement in the bedroom trash can. Angry, she kicked the trash can flying. Unexpectedly, this noise woke Ethan in the living room. "Chloe, is that you?" Chloe stormed out, holding those fragments questioning. "Ethan, what exactly do you want to do?" Ethan looked at her hurt, wanting to get up but really having no strength. Chloe closed her eyes, saying coldly, "Forget it, since you're awake, come with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate." Stalemated until the end, the divorce certificate wasn't obtained. Seeing the time was about right and Molly should be arriving, Chloe angrily slammed the door and left the place. When Ethan chased out, Chloe had already gotten into a taxi. He ran wildly after the taxi, falling, getting up and chasing again, making himself a mess. Until Molly arrived and hugged him tightly in her arms, he stopped. Chloe smirked ironically, murmuring, "Really, a dog can't change eating shit." After returning to Paris, Chloe went directly to the company. Not resting well for over 10 hours, she had reached the point where she wanted to sleep but couldn't. When Harrison brought coffee in, Chloe was leaning on the desk rubbing her temples. Hearing the noise, Chloe opened her eyes to look. "President Sterling, coffee." Harrison placed the coffee gently in front of her. Chloe picked it up and took a small sip. Unknown if it was psychological, she instantly felt refreshed. "Thanks, having a nervous breakdown right now. Coffee saved my life." Chloe joked her thanks, successfully making Harrison laugh. When going home at night, Harrison drove. The two lived in the same villa, Harrison on the first floor, Chloe on the second. Both floors were spacious enough. If not looking for each other intentionally, it was hard to meet. But tonight, Harrison specifically cooked domestic-style dishes and called Chloe down to eat. Chloe wanted to refuse, but couldn't brush off his kindness. The food was delicious. Chloe couldn't help glancing at Harrison a few more times. After dinner, Chloe volunteered to clean the dishes. When lying back in bed, Mia sent her a text. Knowing you are in a bad mood, eating a delicious meal in a foreign land counts as comforting your wounded little soul." Chloe smiled helplessly. She knew it must be that girl Mia directing behind the scenes. The night deepened, and Chloe started to feel sleepy. Just as she was about to enter dreamland, the door was knocked rapidly. "President Sterling, are you asleep?" "What is it?" Chloe hurriedly put on clothes and came out. Harrison dragged her out looking grim. "President Sterling, a Chinese man came kneeling at our gate. It has attracted many foreigners to watch. He should be looking for you." Chloe guessed who came instantly, temples throbbing. When seeing Ethan, Chloe's first sentence was, "Aren't you unable to go abroad freely?" Ethan's body shook slightly, face showing uncontrollable excitement. "Chloe, you are concerned about me." Chloe rolled her eyes, saying indifferently, "I'm wondering how the Astronomy Bureau approved your going abroad to plague the world." The light in Ethan's eyes went out instantly, looking down and whispering, "I didn't report to the company, went abroad privately." "Chloe, for the sake of my sincerity, give me another chance, okay?" Ethan looked up, eyes full of pain and despair. Chloe frowned, walking down the stairs, dragging him into the villa. "Ethan, are your knees so worthless? Didn't you see many people filming videos? Do you really want to become famous on the foreign internet?" Ethan actually didn't care about these at all. He lost his wife. Was he afraid of losing face? He wished everyone could see his determination to chase his wife back. But Chloe cared about face very much, so Ethan had to follow her. Even being carried like a chick by Chloe, he was extremely happy because, for him, this was better than Chloe hiding from him. Entering the villa, Ethan discovered that Chloe didn't live alone. There were men's things. His heart instantly lifted, wanting to ask her, but after seeing her expression, it turned into a self-deprecating laugh. The desire and greed to hug her grew crazily at this moment. Ethan approached her step by step, the sadness and deep affection in his eyes almost drowning people. Chloe looked at him with impatience and anger in her eyes. "Ethan, if you dare take another step forward, I'll call the Astronomy Bureau to report you." Just this one sentence, all courage Ethan just sprouted dissipated. He stood a meter away from Chloe, daring not take another step. Just before Chloe's patience ran out, he took out the star certificate from his chest and handed it over with both hands, saying hopefully, "Chloe, look, I named a star with your name, look." Chloe just glanced at it lightly, sneering. "Ethan, are you stupid or am I stupid? You bring a fake certificate saying you named a star after me. Are you here to be funny?" Discovering a new star wasn't that simple. Even if he really discovered a new star, it would be reported in the news, not so quietly. A trace of panic flashed in Ethan's eyes, hurriedly explaining, "Chloe, I will make this star certificate real, definitely will." Saying that, his eyes began to firm up. "Chloe, I know you won't easily forgive the mistakes I made before, but can you give me a chance to correct? I will give you the real star certificate. I will take you to travel the Northwest Loop. We will have babies again. I will prove to you, I love you. My heart only has you. My wife can only be you. This time, let me walk into you bit by bit. Chloe, please." Ethan spoke with blood in every sentence, heart in every word. If Chloe hadn't known him for 12 years, she might really have been moved by this rhetoric tonight. "Heth, finished making resolutions?" Chloe looked up from her phone, speaking like watching a play. "Hurry up and roll back to China. The Astronomy Bureau leaders must be looking for you like crazy." Ethan froze for a moment, then spoke as if dead inside. "Chloe, you really reported me. Do you hate me that much?" Chloe hurriedly interrupted. "Don't frame me. It was your little lover who reported you." Hearing this, Ethan hurriedly took out his phone. To prevent disturbance, he turned off his phone early. At this moment, missed calls and unread messages on the phone almost exploded the SIM card. Ethan's chest heaved angrily. Without time to leave more words, he went straight to the airport. Only then did Harrison walk out from the kitchen. "President Sterling, are you okay?" Chloe waved her hand, walking upstairs. "If there is a next time, call the police directly saying someone is trespassing." After Ethan landed in Beijing, he didn't go to the Astronomy Bureau but went directly home. The moment he opened the door, Molly, wearing revealing sexy pajamas, wound around Ethan like a snake. "Senior, I knew you would come back to find me. Only I love you most in this world." Ethan pulled her off himself with a gloomy face. Molly reached for him in shock. Ethan slapped her without pity, then threw her onto the shoe rack in the entryway. "Molly, what good does ruining me do to you?" Ethan hated her extremely at this moment. He bent down, dragging the pitifully small fabric on her chest, lifting her to his eyes, that look wishing to cut her into 1,000 pieces. Molly looked at him in terror, then laughed lowly. "Yes, if I don't ruin you, would you come back to my side so easily? Molly, you bitch, bitch." Molly laughed desolately, tears falling down the corners of her eyes. "Did you not enjoy screwing the bitch too? You also angered your wife away. Ethan, you deserve it." Molly's face hurt terribly, but she still had to say it, as if hurting him could alleviate the pain on herself. Ethan gave her another slap, with such force that Molly didn't recover for a while, and blood flowed from the corner of her lips. But Ethan seemed not to see it, eyes red with anger, thinking his future and his wife were lost because of this bitch. He hated monstrous hatred bred continuously in his heart, growing crazily. Ethan blamed everything on Molly. "Bitch, don't think I don't know what you did behind my back." Ethan grabbed Molly's arm, dragging her to the street regardless of everything. "Since you are shameless and insist on ruining my future, then don't think about having a good time." Molly desperately tried to gather the ripped fabric, but her body was still exposed to the eyes of everyone on the street. At this moment, Molly completely panicked, screaming heart-wrenchingly for mercy. "Senior, I was wrong. I really was wrong. I beg you not to treat me like this." Ethan turned a deaf ear, throwing her into the car and driving directly to the Astronomy Bureau. On the way, Molly begged desperately, trying to call the police after failing. Ethan grabbed her phone and threw it directly out the window. Ethan stepped on the gas to the floor. The car flew out like an arrow from the string. Just before Molly almost fainted from fright, Ethan stopped the car. Many people instantly came out of the Astronomy Bureau. Seeing him, Ethan's direct superior ran over quickly, leaning close to him very painfully and anxiously. "Little Wright, how could you go abroad privately? You are the backbone of our group. The higher-ups know about your going abroad and want to marginalize you. Hurry with me to the leader's office. Apologize sincerely. There is still a glimmer of hope." The leader anxiously led Ethan to the office. Ethan stumbled 2 steps, following him carelessly. After standing firm, Ethan stopped following the leader. The leader looked back at him, very anxious and confused. "Little Wright?" "Leader, I failed you." Ethan had already detached from the rage, apologizing sincerely with tears in his eyes. The leader didn't understand, following the line of sight of the colleagues, watching the excitement, discovering the nearly naked Molly. "What's going on?" The leader turned pale with fright. Ethan walked back, pulling Molly to self-destruct. "Molly Flowers, employee under my group, a bitch. It was she who seduced me, causing my wife to leave and family to scatter." No, Molly screamed in breakdown, covering herself, looking at Ethan pleadingly. "Let me go, I will never pester you again." Ethan laughed coldly, continuing. "This bitch not only seduced me, but also seduced a Beijing tycoon during her affair with me, climbing into someone else's bed. Such a bitch." Infuriating both man and God, colleagues had long been shocked crisp by this explosive news. Ethan was still accusing endlessly. "Today I self-destruct this news, firstly to remove harm for the people, secondly to show determination to my wife far abroad. Even if she won't forgive me again, I will always love her." There were cameras everywhere. Ethan declared boldly to those lenses. In the chaos, police cars and the tycoon's wife arrived simultaneously. Ethan and Molly were taken away by police cars. The tycoon's wife didn't get out of the car the whole time, following the police car to the station. Everyone didn't know who the Beijing tycoon was, only knowing Molly was really finished this time. Future ruined, and couldn't mix in Beijing anymore. 2 days later, after the Astronomy Bureau leader ran around pleading nonstop, Ethan was released. Since Ethan's parents knew about the good deed their son did, they unilaterally announced severing the parent-child relationship. Ethan's matter had a severe negative impact. Although he made outstanding contributions, the Astronomy Bureau ultimately decided to fire him. Ethan lost his job, lost his former glory, lost his family, truly becoming a lonely man. Carrying a pack of beer, he climbed to the roof of his building, drinking to the bright moon in the sky. A smile always lingered on the corner of his mouth, but tears always flowed from the corners of his eyes. This matter was on the news, reported successively. He didn't believe Chloe didn't hear the wind, but she didn't show a single word, even a trivial concern. But Ethan didn't regret it. He asked for it. Molly disappeared from the streets and alleys of Beijing from then on. But Ethan knew that day it was the tycoon's wife who took her away. That tycoon made his fortune relying on his wife's family. That wife was ugly and a jealous woman. Molly's end could only be 10,000 times worse than his. Chloe indeed saw that news, but she just watched it as a joke. Work in Paris went smoother and smoother. Chloe also gradually adapted to life here. Outside of work, Chloe liked to sit in the cafe in the alley. Order a coffee, order a piece of cake, watching people coming and going after get off work every day. Life was so pleasant. This day Chloe was reading in the sun holding coffee, but received a call from Ethan. Haven't contacted him for a long time. Hearing his voice again, Chloe felt his voice sounded like it had been rubbed by sandpaper. "Chloe, I really miss you." Chloe frowned slightly, holding the phone further away, took a sip of coffee, and said calmly, "Did you sign the divorce agreement? If signed, mail it to my home or company. Don't contact if nothing important." Ethan was silent for a while. Just a second before Chloe hung up, he suddenly spoke. "Sorry." Following that, the sound of broken crying came from the other end of the phone. Tone sad and panicked, as if having lost the whole world. "Chloe, I beg you, give me another chance, okay? Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I beg you not to leave me behind. We've been together for 12 years. If you don't want me anymore, how am I supposed to live? For you, I have already made public the wrong things I did in the first half of my life. I am willing to be spurned and insulted by the public. Can't this offset a little of my past faults?" Chloe couldn't help laughing. Hearing Chloe's laughter, Ethan's crying stopped suddenly, asking helplessly, "Chloe, what are you laughing at?" Chloe closed the book, nestling comfortably in the sofa, speaking breezily, "Ethan, you are still like this. For so many years, whenever you did something wrong, it was like this. You are incomparably sure I love you. As long as you shed tears, I will feel distressed, then forgive you. Indeed, I was like this in the past. But have you thought about it now? I don't love you anymore." Ethan was stunned, then shouted in breakdown, "No, I don't believe it. Chloe Sterling, I don't believe you say you don't love me anymore. You clearly loved me so much before. How could you suddenly stop loving? I just did a little wrong thing. I already know my mistake. Why won't you give me another chance to correct?" Hearing this, Chloe knew he still didn't realize his mistake. In his view, as long as he abused himself pitifully enough, she should naturally forgive him and accept him again. For so many years, Chloe was really tired. At this point, she had nothing good to say to Ethan. Chloe rubbed her temples, extremely cold. "Ethan, please don't disturb my life anymore. Since you are willing to sign the divorce agreement, I will sue for divorce after 2 years of separation." As soon as the voice fell, Chloe hung up the phone immediately, not wanting to listen to his nonsense anymore. Time flew to late autumn, and Mia's wedding date was getting closer. After handling work in Paris, Chloe returned to the country 3 days in advance. She accompanied Mia, busy before and after, tired more than working continuously for half a month. Mia deliberately leaned close to her, teasing, "Hard work, President Sterling. When you get married next time, I will also serve you busily like this." Chloe collapsed on the sofa, waving her small fist, saying, "Looking for a beating, marry what?" "Marry who?" Mia dodged back, winking at Harrison on the side. Chloe climbed up, following her line of sight, bristling instantly. "Mia Stone, you are looking for death." Amidst fighting and frolicking, the wedding day arrived. Chloe didn't expect to see Ethan at Mia's wedding. She looked displeased, but understood very well. She and Ethan had been together for too long. The bad thing was having too many mutual friends. When Chloe walked into the wedding scene, Ethan was wearing a black suit, holding a bouquet of red roses in his arms. People coming and going looked at him, but he seemed unaware. The moment he saw Chloe, his eyes lit up. Ethan walked towards Chloe step by step. Chloe stared at Ethan, suddenly realizing he was thinner than before, complexion not good either. Ethan lost his job and lost face because of the Molly incident. At this moment, he was no longer that high-spirited, favored son of heaven. Their mutual friends all didn't like to see him. These words were told to Chloe by Mia as gossip the second day Chloe came back. Chloe had no waves in her heart, only feeling Ethan was sick in the head. Now eating his own evil fruit, he asked for it. Since that phone call, Chloe hadn't answered Ethan's calls again. She was unrestrained in Paris, Apart from Mia and Mother Sterling, she didn't want to put extra thoughts on irrelevant people. Ethan looked at the bright and beautiful Chloe, feeling both gratified and painful inside. Gratified that he finally had the chance to see the person he thought of day and night. Painful that behind Chloe was an atmosphere filled with happiness, exactly opposite to the despair on him. Looking at Chloe, his eyes carried a trace of expectation, speaking with difficulty. "Chloe, it's been so long. Are you still angry with me?" "I am. Really love you. I can't be without you." Chloe looked at him steadily. When reading at university, seeing others get married on the road, Chloe would buy a rose to give to Ethan. Chloe didn't know how she would feel seeing Ethan again, maybe anger, maybe boredom, or even disgust. But Chloe was surprised to find that, at this moment, she had no waves in her heart. While busy with work during this period, she also met many friends. Both wallet and heart were satisfied. "Chloe, come take photos," Mia called Chloe from inside. Chloe raised her hand, waving over there. Before leaving, she looked seriously at the man in front of her. "Ethan, don't do meaningless things anymore. We all have to look forward." Ethan's face became even paler, body shaky, seemingly about to fall. Chloe ignored it, brushing past him to go inside for photos. People walk forward themselves, flowers bloom towards the sun themselves. No one will wait for you in place. Staying in the country for a week, Mia hurriedly drove Chloe back. Before leaving, Chloe went home to stay for a few days, accompanying Mother Sterling well. Finally chased away by Mother Sterling, telling her to leave quickly not to give Ethan an opportunity. Before the plane took off, Ethan's name suddenly flashed on the phone screen. After hesitating for a few seconds, Chloe still didn't answer. When the plane landed in Paris, Chloe received a strange call. It was Molly. She cried and shouted over there that she would definitely make Chloe pay the price. From her intermittent words, Chloe knew, to take revenge on Ethan, Molly drove a car to hit him, and she planned to commit suicide following him. Chloe answered indifferently, "He is your man. Whether alive or dead has nothing to do with me, as long as you are happy." The final bad news was known from Mia's mouth. The day Chloe went abroad, Ethan drove frantically to the airport. On the way there, he was hit heavily from the side by Molly's car. Ethan's car rushed directly into the sea in the north of the city. That call was the last call he made in this world, but Chloe didn't answer. Chloe stared blankly at the computer screen. The sea in the north of the city was where Ethan saved Chloe back then. Their story started there, now it also ended there. 3 days before Ethan's funeral, Chloe's mother asked her if she wanted to attend. Chloe thought for a while and spoke, "No. My relationship with him is not enough for me to fly back to attend his funeral." After hanging up the phone, Chloe looked at the morning sun. It seemed everything could start anew. People have to look forward, don't rot in the dreams of the past. You should live more openly, live more firmly.